Hi, and welcome to Newsmakers for inside analysis and behind-the-scenes commentary from Santa Barbara's top journalists and political leaders about the most important news events in our community. I'm Jerry Roberts. Tonight, we look behind these headlines. New conflict at the Santa Barbara School Board as unhappy parents press for the ouster of the superintendent. The Board of Supervisors funds an innovative program to respond to mentally ill homeless people. Candidates for City Council hit the final weeks on the campaign trail as hopefuls for state legislature position themselves for 2020. And we spin some scenarios for what happens when the music stops in the local political game of musical chairs. Our panel tonight, Delaney Smith, reporter for the Santa Barbara Independent. Nick Welsh, executive editor of the Independent. Josh Molina, who covers politics for Newshawk, and former City Council member Dale Francisco. Thank you all for coming. So Delaney, there's a coalition of parents angry at Superintendent Carrie Matsuoka about a host of issues. They've got 700 and some signatures on a petition that his contract not be renewed when the board takes it up in 2 weeks. What are they mad about and what's going to happen?
Yeah, so there's 5 different reasons they listed. Among them, they said that under Matsuoka's leadership, the school's facilities have been degraded. They listed the windows at Santa Barbara High School, for example. They said that because they're broken, in case of an emergency, kids can't jump out the window. That's one example. The bathrooms at Santa Barbara High also, they said, are dilapidated. They also said that he irresponsibly handles the school's funding. They believe that spending the funds on programs like Just Communities, for example, is irresponsible, and it should be put more towards academics, with the kids' reading comprehension scores being so low. There's 3 other reasons. Those are their top ones.
It's his management style too, isn't it? That ticks a lot of people off, his kind of lack of being out in the community, lack of transparency.
Yeah, last night was probably one of the first times in a while that Matsuoka actually really addressed these issues. For the most part, he's largely silent when it comes to these controversies at school board. He'll sit there and he'll be silent for the whole 3, 4, 5-hour meetings at times. Last night he debunked. I think the word he used was set the record straight.
Yeah.
And that was new for him. And he said that most of the comments that they've been spewing are incorrect and they're false.
So this kind of upset started with the Ed Barron situation last year, early year. Then we had the Matt Academy. We had the ongoing dispute about Just Communities. The stadium project, a lot of money and stuff.
Peabody.
And it is the first time that Carrie pushed back. And is that not, Josh, you would agree with me, because they have hired a public information officer, Kamala Barnwell, a.k.a. Cami Cohey, who has decided to help them rebrand? Do you think that's what's going on?
I don't know how to. I'm not even sure what your question was there.
Well, she said, I mean, and you're correct. Usually Matsuoka just sits there and takes it. Now, in the last 2 meetings, all of a sudden, everybody's pushing back.
So
I was just going to say that I can say that Cami has personally told me that she's working on getting Carrie to address people and be more public and more transparent. So perhaps that is correct.
I think it is. And it doesn't really help because they're there speaking in this education jargon to each other half the time.
Well, my biggest observation covering the school board is they have a communication issue in that they're very defensive and they are defending the work that they do, and they come across as being smarter than everyone else because they're educators, and they're missing the point. Even if they believe that to be true, they're talking to people who are parents of children, and what do people care most about is how their children are treated. So they need to do a better job of acknowledging the problem before they tell us this is what we're going to do anyway. And Carrie, it's a soliloquy. What he has done is take a time to address all the stuff that's been happening at public comment, but it's one way.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
And so it feels as though it's lecture time from dad as opposed to a conversation. What he really should do is just have a town hall forum and talk about these issues
And
instead
pretend
of,
that he can listen.
well, it's really a communication issue.
But last night is a good example because one of the other things people were mad about is the GATE program.
Right, and Matsuoka was yet again silent when it came to that.
So they tried to torpedo it at Washington last spring. Everybody, all the parents threw an upset. Last night they were supposed to come back with a report about. So what did they decide?
I mean, they didn't decide anything last night. It was just a
I left
report.
at 11, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was purely informational. Dr. Ramirez provided information about, first of
Raul
all,
Ramirez,
yes,
the assistant superintendent for.
right, who 6 months ago Matsuoka kind of left to hang out to dry when the parents were attacking him up there. Matsuoka didn't
Or
say a
threw
word.
him over the bus.
Yeah,
depending
whatever.
on
Yeah,
the-
how you want to
or
word
over
it.
the-
Last night wasn't nearly as intense, but at the same token, Matsuoka was silent when it did come to that. But yeah, so it was just an informational report. Parents were still coming up saying, you can't end the magnet program. But like Ramirez continually reiterated, they're not ending the magnet program. He was just providing demographic information.
But they're certainly not going to expand it.
They're certainly not going to expand it. No, it seems like, and they didn't say this, but it seems like they're aiming to expand the cluster program more because they were presenting much more research about how the cluster program is effective.
One more question. October 22nd, they're going to decide whether to extend his contract for an additional year at $354,000 total package. What will the vote be on the school board?
Ooh, that's
The correct answer, 3-2.
3-2. You're predicting Laura Capps, who's running for office,
And
who
Kate
will want to
Ford.
appease
Yeah.
the parents, and Kate Ford, who is the only one who really asks
Knows
questions.
what's going on. Yeah, exactly.
That's likely going to be likely vote.
And the rest of them, well, are in his pocket. Okay.
Gee, Jerry, I wonder why some people don't call you back.
Yeah. Jerry, it's Carrie on line 2.
Speaking of people being in people's pockets, Nick. So after your endless coverage and constant complaining, the Soups came up with $2 million to finance a two co-response teams, pairing law enforcement and mental health workers on the street. Why is this important?
Well, it's important for a number of reasons. First of all, just to backtrack, it wasn't really the supervisor who was coming up with the money. It was the sheriff going out and the county going out and getting grants. So it's not coming out of the general fund. And so I think it's a 3-year funding cycle. And what it does, co-response is one of those ungainly terms that describes a mental health emergency caseworker going out on patrol with a cop. It could be a sheriff's deputy, it could be a Santa Barbara police officer. And they go out on patrol together, and there's a number of really great advantages about that. And the first thing is that in Santa Barbara County is the only county in the state of California where law enforcement cannot declare somebody 5150, which means they pose an imminent threat to themselves or others and can be held against their will. So if you have a mental health worker with a cop, that person can declare somebody 5150. Now, that was a significant issue. There were 2 right now of these guys. There's Bradley Crabble, who is a mental health caseworker, and James McCarroll, and he is a deputy. And they went out. There was a 27-year-old kid. He's got guns buried in his backyard. He's got 20,000 rounds of ammo. He's got $40,000 worth of cash. He's got bulletproof vests. He's living at home with mom and dad. And what do we do with this guy? And the guns are all legal. He had violated certain laws, stalking his girlfriend, etc. And because they were there together, they got him in a 5150 hold, as opposed to just, I know it's very technical in the weeds, as opposed to just putting him in the psych ward at Cottage. The legal significance of that is that guy can never get his guns back. Once you've been declared 5150, you are not legally entitled to your guns.
So this is not necessarily aimed at street people, homeless people.
It is aimed a lot at them. I mean, when you consider that about 70% of the daytime calls for service that Santa Barbara Police get are homeless people, and some large amount, somewhere between 26 and 70% of them have serious mental health issues. There's going to be a big overlap.
So Dale, you're more qualified than me to estimate how many tens of millions of dollars are spent on homelessness problems by the city, the county, the state, and everyone else. None of them seem to have worked. Does this sound like it has any validity to you?
I think Jerry, you're right. I mean, the overall problem is huge, and it really is a state problem. And the state seems completely unwilling to do anything about mentally ill people living on the streets. However, having said that, I think that this program is a good idea.
Yeah. So is it a pilot program?
Yeah, it's a pilot program. So like, it really got started in spite of, not because of the blessings of Bill Brown and the brass. It was really Eddie Schway and a couple other deputies who sort of pushed this thing up and made it happen in spite of, not because of, the official blessing. And so they got a pilot program up and going, and lo and behold, it was this huge success, and everybody was saying, oh my God, this is great. One of the virtues of it is that if you're a deputy and you come and you respond to somebody who is in a mental health crisis, you've got to babysit that person for 3 to 5 hours, usually, before somebody comes and can dispose and takes the person to the proper place. That's 3 to 5 hours that you could be doing patrol. If you got these guys out there, it cuts regular patrol officers loose a lot faster.
How many years is the grant?
It's a 3-year grant.
So, and how will they measure success?
One at a time. I mean, so in the first year, roughly, I think they initiated about 380 calls and responded to about 350 calls. Only 7 of those people wound up going to county jail. So what they did, they found 60 people. They said, we're going to 5150 you. Another close to 60 did a voluntary, we're going to go to a mental hospital voluntarily. Another 45 or so went to a crisis stabilization unit. So what they're doing is they're getting the overarching impulse of why this is a state grant is we want to get mentally ill people out of the criminal justice system. They don't belong there. It makes them worse. It doesn't make them better. So how do we do that? And so what they did, you have 2 of these guys who are operating. Now they're going to have 6.
All right. Okay. Well, homelessness was the #1 concern of California voters in the new Public Policy of Institute of California poll. And it is a big deal because the governor said he's going to do something about it. So it would be something, now watch this transition, of interest to the state legislature. And as it happens, Josh, we have a race for state legislature going on right now. Monique Limon, our assembly person, is going to run for Senate. So there's a wide open race for assembly, and you went to the Democratic endorsement meeting about that. And,
I scooped you by 5 days, Jerry.
Well,
I was looking forward to your analysis since you took 5 days to report it.
You missed the lead, Josh,
And it
was
was
the
basically
problem.
what I had written, but not as well.
You missed the lead. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
So they had a huge...
Kathy is the front runner. That was my analysis. Your analysis was Jonathan Abood is going to win.
My analysis was
Isn't that right?
objective based on the news that happened, not based on who I had coffee
Well,
with
when you have my
2 days ago.
many years of experience, Josh, you'll be able to have some tight perspective like that.
I think we might need
You're the
a
one who
marriage
taught me.
therapist here. Yeah.
Don't you agree that Kathy's going to go ahead?
You're the one who taught me heavy breathing in the lead, and the rest is just typing.
Heavy breathing, yes. Heavy breathing on Mount Olympus.
So
And now it's Josh. Go ahead.
So there was a pre-endorsement event at the Faulkner Gallery in Santa Barbara, and this was to determine which candidate would get the recommendation for the endorsement at the Democratic Party convention in November. No candidate got 70%, so there will be no recommendation. However, Jonathan Abood received more votes than the city mayor.
27-year-old trustee on the
Yeah, he's
City
27.
College Board.
He's a Santa Barbara City College trustee. He is somebody who's been a very active progressive in Isla Vista. He's campaigned and knocked on doors for other candidates. And here he is. He has emerged as getting more votes among a very small pool of people. We're talking about clubs who get a vote. We're talking about
Very active people.
Yeah, there are people who are the hardest core of people in the Democratic Party activism bubble. So he got more votes than Cathy. So it is significant.
But
that,
what, a couple?
Like two.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is significant because here we have Cathy, who's the sitting mayor, who is very much ingrained in the Democratic Party apparatus. Duraka doesn't like when I use the word machine. So, and she will vote the party
If
line.
she's in the apparatus, does that make her an apparatchik?
I don't know. Why don't you ask her next time you have her over for dinner, Jerry?
I didn't have her over for dinner.
So yes, Jonathan surprised many people because he was able to get more votes than anyone else. Monique Limon, by the way, was encouraging all of her people to do a no endorsement.
Which is what came in third, no endorsement. Hannah Beth
Hannah
said
Beth
no
and
endorsement. Monique.
Salud both said no endorsement.
And yeah, and so did the Dem women.
And Monique says it's because I have to work probably, well, definitely, but with whoever the winner is. Maybe she's not very happy with everyone who's maybe someone else is going to come forward. But we had, basically, it was spread out. All it really says is that Jonathan Abood has some momentum, he has some support, and he's not somebody who can be easily dismissed. Cathy, obviously, is the front runner because she's going to get organized labor support, which is a lot of money. Jason Dominguez.
Which I think that was in my piece, actually. Don't you agree with me that Josh, as many people who are close to a millennial age, he's well past it, but closer than
Well,
us,
I'm not
is,
that.
is reacting to the urgent rather than the important, and therefore overstating the Abood, the
Abood groundswell.
groundswell, and then Cathy's got it in the bag. Or does Jason Dominguez have a chance?
I have a hard time imagining Jason being able to pull this out.
How many votes did he get? Like 6 or something?
I believe he got 8. Is that right?
That sounds right.
I mean, he's going to work really hard, and I wouldn't count him out. But the way I would look at it, Cathy would be the front runner, Abood would be coming in second, and then Jason probably third.
What's your take on that?
You undoubtedly know the situation there much better than I do, but I would be surprised if Abood had a lot of support outside of IV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, the district, it's a lot of Ventura County, and, you know, it's a more moderate, generally voting area, so I'm not sure. And then Elsa Granados, who was the executive director of the organization formerly known as the Rape Crisis Center, she's also in. It's her first race.
Yeah, Monique Limon waited so long to announce that she was running for Senate. Typically, the Democratic Party likes to get behind one candidate and clear the field and not have to spend a whole lot of time on having to put money into multiple candidates so they can focus on other things. Now no party is going to, or no one's going to get the party's endorsement. That allows people like Jason to step forward, Elsa, Jonathan Abood, Cathy. And so it's very interesting. Cathy, of course, is the smart money, but it is early. And Jonathan, he grew up in that sort of work hard, grassroots, progressive
You're not going
sort
to go
of
to work for him.
I don't know.
All right, what's happening in the city council races, districts?
So
let's
speaking of
do
Jason
the east side
Dominguez,
first,
Jason
yeah.
Dominguez is running for assembly. He's simultaneously running for re-election on the city council in District 1. So he has his work cut out for him because even though he's the incumbent, he's widely unpopular with the Democratic Party, and they are working very hard to elect Alejandra Gutierrez. And she's from the community and people know her. She grew up there. So in a district election format, she is going to do well, particularly if Jason is over there trying to get in assembly endorsements.
You covered you did a piece
Yeah.
in the paper that's out now about it. What's your take on Alejandra? You know, when I talk to her one-on-one, I find her very impressive and solid and passionate and stuff. But
Me too.
somehow she hasn't been able to put that out there.
Yeah, me too, Jerry. One-on-one, she talks about mostly what impresses me the most is her work as the director of the Franklin Service Center. The nonprofit connections that she's made and the resources she's provided to the kids and their families in the East Side, it really paints a picture of her potential of being on the council. Unfortunately, she doesn't she doesn't really show that when she speaks out at public forums. She tries to embody this politician kind of vibe, and she's not a politician, so it doesn't look good on her.
You think there's any way Jason loses?
I think that an incumbent who runs reasonably hard and who hasn't done anything terribly stupid gets reelected most of the time.
What about his comment that we have to, what did he say, govern everyone's behavior? Remember that quote? That was a great one.
I remember it, but I don't think most people will.
Who's going to win in District 2? We still have one more show before. You don't have to make a prediction yet.
It's between Michael Jordan and Terry Jory, with Brian Campbell perhaps coming in third and playing a spoiler.
He's very upset about homeless people and very...
Yeah, Jordan's one of these candidates. If it were a citywide election, he'd probably win because he's done so much on the planning commission and he's so well known and he has lots of connections. On the Mesa, however, he's going up against Terry Jory, who's knocking on doors,
Very
who's meeting with
grassroots.
people.
And he has a lot of money.
And she has support. She's got a strong political consultant. And with these little district elections, and this is why Alejandra is going to do well even if she doesn't win, is because it really has to do with how much you're going to work in the district. And so
you were
one of those
impressed by
two.
Terry Jory.
You know, at first she seems a little eccentric.
Mary Ann Williamson, I believe you
That was
compared her
the
to.
comparison I used. But you know, when you talk to her, I mean, when you go to a forum, she talks about, I have a PhD and I've got a black belt in karate, so I'm smarter than you, I'm going to kick your ass. But you know, when you talk to her,
That's a direct quote.
no, that's my extrapolation. But when you talk to her, you know, you get the sense she could get something done. You know, she's very energetic. She's very focused. You know, she does say, I have a big brain and I get shit done, and she says stuff like that. But, you know, talking to people on the neighborhood committee, people say she is energetic. She does bring people together. And, of course, she will be the first elected official, if she wins, to come from what? The Vector Control District. It'll be the first stepping stone.
A new pathway.
A new pathway to power.
Now, David Pritchett tried to forge that path to
Yeah,
power,
but
but it
look where
didn't
it
work.
got him.
Yeah, I got him
Look
to
where it got
Nevada,
him.
right? So why isn't Mike Jordan running away with this? I mean, all his years on a planning commission, he knows. I mean, he's well qualified.
And I think if it were citywide, he would be running away with it. The district elections have really thrown things into, it's a different world. And one of the problems, I think, with the district elections, which I didn't predict, I predicted plenty of other problems, was the lack of talent in some of these races.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, but in this one, actually, I mean,
Yeah, there's pretty
this
good
is-
candidates.
These are good candidates
You have
in that
five,
district.
You have five
Right.
interesting
Yeah.
candidates, and like they're all running for the so-called right reasons. Nobody's doing this as a stepping stone to fame and fortune.
Yeah.
If this were a citywide election,
Mike.
Jordan and Dominguez would be 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I think I would still say Michael Jordan has. I would definitely bet on him.
When
on this
are
one.
the independent endorsements?
We endorse in the first district that comes out tomorrow, and that's going to be Alejandra. And we're waiting till next week to endorse in District 2.
All right.
You mean you're not
Quickly
endorsing Hal Conklin?
Quickly now. All right. Dale has actually done incredible research on the city charter.
I had to.
In the event that Cathy is elected to the assembly, what scenario occurs? Because she will have about 11 months left in her term.
Right, and if you read the city charter section on vacancies, it's not exactly clear what's going to happen. So I went back and I watched the city council meeting where they actually discussed what it was that they wanted. Here's what
This
it
is
boils.
a full-service news program.
I did this for you, Jerry. What it boils down to is if the term of the person who's leaving has a year or less remaining, then the city council does not have to call a special election. If it's more than a year, they are required to call a special election.
So in this case, it would be less.
It would be less. They wouldn't be required to call, and I seriously doubt they would, given that the mayoral race is going to be in November 2021 anyway.
So they would just fight with each other about who gets to be the acting mayor?
Right, that's what it would be.
And-
And I strongly believe that they would appoint the most experienced council member as the interim mayor. That would be Randy. As
Except
long as,
Randy's going off.
yes, but he could be appointed mayor.
Anybody could be appointed mayor, right?
Anyone could be appointed mayor.
Jerry
As
Roberts.
acting mayor. No, I think Dale. This is Dale.
This is
the
my
com-
chance to return to stardom.
I agree with you about the Randy scenario. Don't
Yeah.
you? Don't you
As
think
long as
Randy-
I think, as long as he promised not to run for mayor at the regular election, I think.
But he would break that. He would promise. No, Randy's pretty straight. He would probably. Do you think he would do it? I don't know. That would
don't-
be interesting.
I don't know.
You go ahead, because I've heard that he's under pressure not to
From the family.
from the family. But
Yeah.
That wouldn't shock
Well,
me.
who on the council would make their move to get it?
Eric, Megan, Harmon, Oscar.
Oscar? They
Why
did
not?
ranked choice voting. One anonymous mayor told me Oscar would be the mayor because
yeah.
he would be everybody's second choice. Newsmakers, where political careers are born.
and vector control, don't forget.
Vector control. All right, well, we have to leave it there. Thank you all for being here. Delaney Smith, Josh Molina, Dale Francisco, and Nick Welsh.
Nick Welsh, the best columnist at the Santa Barbara Independent.
Well, that's
Oh,
coming
yeah.
out too. That's coming out too. How's that going there? Good. Next week we'll find out if you won this year. I'm pretty sure this is your year and the Dodgers' year too. So don't worry
The
about it.
Dodgers are tonight. We'll
Okay,
find
thank
out.
you for watching, and please check out our website, newsmakerswithjr.com, for my regular blog posts on media and politics in Santa Barbara and beyond. And if your insomnia is particularly troublesome, check out our YouTube channel for an archive of past shows and interviews, including our 4 special programs on the current campaigns for City Council. Thanks again to our director, JP Montalvo, and to our crew, Elliot, Michael, Ryan, and Mark, and our producer, Lizzie Rodriguez, who's pinch hitting for senior, top-ranking, high-powered, high-energy executive producer, Hap Freund. Thanks, and we'll see you next time on Newsmakers.